We are live. We are absolutely live.
No. Then will be now soon.
Welcome to our chaos, everyone.
Yes.
5-5? All right.
Insert professionality here, folks.
So, anyways, to introduce today's topic, we're just going to have a normal, friendly, casual conversation. And the topic is In Too Deep. Along what period of your Gunpla career do you realize that you're in too deep to this hobby? And joined with me today is Tom on my top left. Say hi, Tom. Yeah. Oh,
technically,
crap.
I'm
Okay.
on your left.
Tom on my left.
Or
Jason's over your head. Simon's in top
Jason's
mid,
waving.
and Matt is top left.
There we got
Guys,
Matt.
we just started.
Just started, man.
Yeah.
I drew the short straw today, so I'm hosting. Sorry, guys. Normally we got a lot more professional hosts, but I mean, anyways. Then we got Jason. Then we got Simon. And finally, the man behind the curtain today is Adrian, who really keeps this whole thing running. And Matt is upside down.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm upside down.
That's fun.
Yeah.
It's wacky.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so we're just keep this really casual today, and we're just gonna ask people like, Tom, you entered this hobby incredibly fast. I mean, I think has it only been how long have you been building Gunpla for?
I've been building since April 2020.
April
Pretty recent.
2020. So that's like a year and a bit. And yeah, like I just remember all of a sudden I started seeing all these posts from this guy, and I'm like, oh, man, he's getting in so fast, so hard. Like, you must have amassed a lot of Gunpla, like in the past year and a bit. So I don't know if you're at that point yet in your career, but do you feel when did you start feeling like, oh, this is in too deep? I need to start explaining to my family or making. Has it ever got to that point yet?
Yeah, that actually happened. I want to say 8 months ago, give or take.
Yeah.
My wife started noticing that I was getting a lot more Gunpla orders coming in every other week almost. And she asked me why I was buying so many. I thought she thought I was only gonna buy like a few. And then I started.
You
explaining,
did?
I was like, yeah, I was like, I did. And then I started falling in love with this hobby for not only for the outcome of said projects, but what it does for me mentally and physically. I suffer from PTSD, anxiety, and high depression. And I also have nerve damage in my dominant hand due to 2 reconstructive surgeries on my hand. So this hobby is a mental stress relief for me, and is also my physical therapy on my hand. And in the 10 years since the surgery, and now that I've been building, I've gained an extra 2 to 3 degrees range of motion, which I explained to you guys earlier this morning before we started the stream. And my wife's like, okay, I can understand this. And there's times where I'll be sitting upstairs, and if I'm in an irritated mood for whatever reason, my wife will look at me and go downstairs and build something now. And my response is, fine, I'll go to my office and build, but not because you told me to, because I want to.
So at what point did you want to start streaming your builds?
Honestly, I've been a content creator now for about 7 years, give or take. I just figured with my first build, I was like, when my first couple of Gundams came in, I was like, you know what? I think this would be interesting to show on stream. So my first build was done on stream, and the audience was a little thrown off by it because I'm normally a video game content creator. So they're just like, okay, this is interesting. And then I just started showing more and more of it, and my followers at the time were loving it, and I was getting more traction with it. So I just kind of decided to say, ditch the video games and make it my main focus, and I haven't looked back.
Nice. So what got you? So I'm just curious. What show got you into the hobby? Now I'm really curious. Is it Iron-Blooded Orphans? Because that seemed to come around the time that you.
No, actually, I got into the hobby due to the COVID lockdowns, and as a line cook, I move all day, every day, and I work with my hands, and I keep busy with my hands. And I wanted something to keep the repetition and mobility still in my hands. So this hobby was kind of like seemed fitting. I was able to transition my skills from culinary arts into building, and it was a relatively easy transition for me, but I still had to practice and hone certain skills like filing and cleaning up pieces. And then I fell into painting and then had to learn how to hide brush strokes and stuff like that. So it's been a constant learning curve, just like it has been for cooking for me.
So this is so this is something I kind of want to ask all of you. But
Yeah,
when
what's up?
you guys got into this hobby, what was your first biggest purchase that kind of said, okay, I am a model builder now? So
fuck.
Tom, since you started off, what was your biggest purchase that came into the whole, okay, I'm dedicated? No, and not kits. Let's say tools.
Oh, tool
Right.
wise?
Kids too. Anything
Hey,
works.
kids count. How
Well,
dare you,
Kids
Jason?
count. Kids do count.
Well,
The
for
only reason
starters,
why I
this
say
right
not
here
kits-
was my first biggest purchase is to what made my decision of I'm a model builder now.
Oh, PG Blue?
Yes, sir.
Oh, dang. Oh, that's nice.
I'm going to be repainting this around October, and I'm going to be housing the head with LED lights, and I'm hoping I can get the thumb replacement in, because unfortunately it broke during the assembly, and I broke it right at the ball joint where it connects to the hand.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So hear me out, guys, because I could probably tell some of you don't agree with this. But the only reason why I say not kits is because I've seen people that really want a kit, not kits, a kit, build that kit with the cheapest file and clippers and whatnot, make it look good because they put the effort into that one kit, and then that's their centerpiece. They're not building anymore, right? But we're coming from, we bought airbrushes, we bought files, we bought sandpaper, we bought things that make us a model builder, not just a hobby builder.
Well,
right?
I can
Like
say
we're
with absolute,
dedicated into this.
Yeah.
well, I
Sorry,
can
go
say
ahead.
with absolute certainty that I don't know about Tom yet, but I know all of us here have, when we got that first God hand nipper. The moment you buy
that was the most-
the $80, $100
the $80 ones? Okay.
nipper,
I'll
buy
I
that.
say the $15
That's
one
it.
because I've yet to buy the $80 ones. Those are my next purchase.
Once you get that
but yeah,
nipper,
that first
it's
clip,
brilliant.
that first clip off the God hands, yes, I'll agree.
Yeah, I remember.
And then and I think even though like I had like the first stage of the God hands, I think in general, just because of the quality and the craftsmanship that was put into the God hands itself, it's that first initial clip.
Yeah, that changes
so
everything
goddamn
when you put
satisfying.
that
Yeah,
God hand. I
Simon,
remember
It's so
yeah.
goddamn satisfying.
Matt telling us, Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, but you were telling us why the God hand was so good. It's made to do one thing really well.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess we can all agree that one of the reasons we realized, okay, we're really in this is we bought a God hand nipper. But in terms of Jason's topic, idea of like tools being what made you go in too deep, I'd say for me personally, besides the God hand, I bought a freaking rotary tool.
Yeah.
Well, why do I need that?
Okay, if
Why
we're
did
going
you
that
buy it?
route, if we're going to go that route, I would have to say, even though it's a basic set, my Tamiya files that I have that I just ordered that came in recently, along with my table butt.
I guess you could. I guess in another idea, I don't know about you guys, but when you got your first P Bandai kit,
I have yet.
that makes you
I have
realize,
one
well,
that I have one sitting and waiting for me, but that's coming.
Okay, fine.
So
Let's break this up
what was that,
into.
Simon?
Let's break this up into two categories if we can all agree. One, what tool means you got in too deep? Two, what was the kit that signified to you that, yeah, I'm in this for like good? And
let's add another
for
category:
tools-
situation. When you looked around and realized, what am I doing with my life?
See,
that's too deep. We only have 1
Yeah.
hour. We can't break this all apart like in a Freudian style. We don't got the time for that today. But I want to hear from the king of tools, Matt. What was the tool that made you realize, shit, I'm in too deep?
oh,
Matt's gonna start with breaking
because
down his
there's
spreadsheet.
the first question was how you got started, what made you realize you're in it, and then in too deep. So I actually started back in my teenage years, so a long time ago in the 80s, and I was building all kinds of mech, and mostly it was Macross actually back then, and some D&D figures and that kind of stuff. And that was the time when I was still using, like, I raided my mom's like got her nail files, nail clippers, and that, because that's all I knew, and I didn't there was no internet and all that. And so I was modeling for a while, then university, no time, and only got back into it in 2014. And I ended up going to Hornet Hobbies to a seminar by Mike Rinaldi, and it was mostly about tanks and that kind of stuff. And I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. And then I was standing there at the counter, and I think actually it was a week later I went back to Hornet Hobbies, and I spent $800 to outfit myself, because I already had a compressor and airbrush that I bought like in the mid 2000s to paint my computer cases. But then I was going from zero. I had the airbrush, but I needed the spray booth. I needed all the tools. So I basically, in one fell swoop, outfitted myself from zero to well, let's say 80, not to 100, because I went beyond that. And then the into deep, because that's what I felt that this is what's necessary to be in the hobby. And then the tool that was the into deep was actually, I already had the red handle God hands, which I decided to buy because they're a little cheaper and a little stronger. And it was at the Otakuthon 2018 when I got the blue handle ones. And realistically, I didn't really need them, but they are actually better than the red ones. But that was the moment. It was like, okay, we're well beyond just the necessities. We're going nuts. So that was, yeah. So 2014 and 2018, and now I'm just off the deep end in general.
To the point where you can have your own hobby shop?
Three files yesterday for almost $100.
Matt, I'm gonna have to throw you under the bus here. There was a very amusing point in his life that we all got to experience. I think this was prior to the COVID situation.
Probably.
This gentleman was looking for the ideal shade of gold.
Oh, yes.
For the next month or so, this man literally bought every shade of gold known in existence just to test out once.
Yeah.
My God.
I keep buying. I've bought since I've actually just on Friday, I bought a Turbo Dork Bullion. So there you go.
What the hell is that? What is that? Seriously, like,
That's
I know
mixer,
bullion
right?
is another way to say gold, but what the hell is that?
It's and I see my there we go. I'm back on screen. The Turbo Dork Bullion. Turbo Dork is acrylic metallic paints that are apparently favored by miniature builders, but you can spray them as well. And I was at Torchlight Games and saw them, or saw it. Or actually, they had the whole run of Turbo Dork, and I decided to buy one of the golds just to add to my test. So, and that's just slight OCD and just not knowing when to say when, or no to myself. Yeah.
I guess I'll take the reins here. I don't know about you guys, but another reason I found out I was in too deep is I let the dust beat me. If you catch my drift. You have so much stuff on display that there's dust and you just give up. You're like, I can't fight this.
I mean, no, dust is a common enemy of anyone that has a display cabinet. Straight up, man, you should get air purifier, you need a display cabinet, but yeah. So let's see.
Yeah, I know that vibe, guys.
Jason, I believe you have a very special
That's only a
display.
part of my collection, folks.
Jason, I believe you have a very special display in your shelf that you can tell us that shows how deep into this hobby you are.
I don't know what you're talking
Shall
about.
we throw him under the bus,
Spot, I
gentlemen?
don't.
So, well, okay. Here's the problem with me. I see something, I like something, and then there's a snowball effect of I want everything involved with it,
Oh
Yes.
shit.
right? So that display cabinet, pretty much, I wanted one, but I didn't know how I wanted one, so I built one. And yeah, it came to the point where it's like, okay, it looks too bare. So then I built a diorama in a display cabinet. And then it just evolved with, well, now the diorama of the hanger that I built looks bare. Now I got to put models in it. And then that came, okay, you know what? I have two blue models. Okay, let me go and paint the gold model. Then the snowball, he got even bigger. Was I have no gold paint. Went, did a matte thing and bought a couple gold paints.
You
And
just take some of his paints. Why are you buying paints?
I want
I
it
mean,
all.
theoretically, yeah.
I must have it all. I must have at least one color of everything.
Okay, Jason, this isn't Pokemon, okay?
Oh
No,
no
you
no no
gotta
no
collect
no!
them
See, the
all.
thing is, what Jason's not saying, and this
No,
is
don't say
this is an aspect of because there's many ways to be in too deep. Jason buys paint in bulk. He'll buy like he is the only man
Oh,
I
he buys-
know that bought 3 or 4 of practically every all-clad 2 color.
This
Yes,
isn't too
and then-
deep anymore. This is throwing each other under the freaking bus.
Yeah.
See, this
Well,
is why
okay,
I'm
not
glad
to
you
help
guys have
myself
never
out.
come over to my office.
not
Just
to help
saying.
not to help myself out. Yes, I did buy every color except for bright silver. I bought 6 of them. But then when AF
100
came out
something?
with their paints, I bought every color of theirs too.
Oh boy.
That's
But
insane.
yeah, so it was a snowball effect for me. It just things kept getting like I never want to be in that situation where I want to use something, I want to do something, and I don't have the tools or the material for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I respect
And
that.
it's because of that.
I can't
yeah.
argue with that. My dad's got an old saying: "I'd rather have it and not need it, and need it and not have it."
Exactly.
Yeah, and then it just when you think of things like that, you just more or less out loud telling yourself, which foot do I want to shoot myself in?
Mhm.
You know, do I want to have everything
Not
and lose
wrong.
this foot, or do I want to have bare necessities and save budget, but I'm shooting that foot? Right. So
You're damned
that's
if
how
you
I-
do, and you're damned if you don't. Essentially.
yeah, that's how you know it when you're in too deep. Like recent example is I bought a file, right? This file, and what I didn't notice is that the file bends. I don't know
And
if
it's
I'll need
probably
this
why
file
it's
now
so
because of it.
expensive too.
Yeah, it was $25. Don't know if I need a file
Oh.
that bends, but guess what? I'm gonna keep it because I don't have a file that bends. I do now.
Oh my god.
So yeah,
And actually, from what Jason was saying about liking something, and then liking other things, and liking everything, that's one of my problems. I start to like way too many things, and I start gravitating to
Yeah.
buy more and more. Like we're mostly here talking about Gundam, but some folks will look at Gundam and say, I just want to focus on Seed or UC or
Yeah,
what. I
there's a
look at
couple of my
Gundam-
friends that do that.
Yeah, I look at Gundam as just one little thing, and there's Macross. There's, for me especially, 5-star stories, and those are resin kits that are not cheap. I mean, oh my, they're not cheap. There are also resin kits of stuff that's pretty cool, or just I just like the look of, and I lucked out recently, and I just because Ava's on the out there. This is a kit from the 80s. It's actually a Sega kit of one of the Avas. Anyway, it has a very nice dynamic
That's
pose.
brilliant.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I kind of got it for esteem, but that's just one of many, very, very many
So
kits that I have among and this insanely many styrene kits that I have. So
how many spreadsheets you got, Matt?
spreadsheets? Yes. So spreadsheets are important. Well, when you realize, I realized I needed a spreadsheet when I was about to buy the OVA Sinanju, the MG Sinanju OVA, And then I was like, wait a minute, and I went over and started going through my closet, and I found 2 of them already. So I was about to buy my 3rd. So yeah, sold one of the 2 because I don't think I'll ever end up building 2 of them. But so I have a spreadsheet for kits. I have a spreadsheet for paints. There is also a spreadsheet for build ideas and projects because, well, yeah. And there is also a spreadsheet
That's a good
of
spreadsheet.
Well,
my
there's 4 now.
orders to keep track of the orders. So, yeah. And one of the reasons I keep a spreadsheet of builds and ideas, and this I think is one of the very telling you're into deep indicators. If you know how many shelf queens you have, as in how many kits you started and did not finish. I am in and around 30, I think. And yeah, that's not good.
I'm sitting at 1 right now, and that's only because I'm waiting on stuff. I'm waiting on a kit for it to finish.
That's a good thing to keep it that way.
To be fair, I still have to finish off a display stand on top of that for a Schwalbe, so that puts me at 2, I think.
Yeah.
Plus my
Well,
kit
those are in
background.
progress. Those are actual works in progress. A shelf queen is when you say, okay, I got to start a new project. You box up that thing, you maybe make some notes, put it in put it away.
Yeah.
So I have somewhere around 30 of those started kits, and some of these are massively complex, and that's usually what ends up happening is I keep changing the idea and developing, like these are kit bashes and these are not straight builds, let's put it that way. Well, there's also plenty of straight builds. Well, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's just basically waited to get painted, and that's just going to be a straight build that needs paint, but I have to build a new spray booth right here behind me. But
okay, so I got a question for you guys. Quick, out of curiosity, I know a couple of you are airbrushers in here, but I feel that there's not many actual hand painters within the GTA community. I think there's only myself and what's his name?
There's Simon Lamb.
That's the one. Yeah, that's him.
There's a few guys that paint. They basically use hand painting as part of their painting process. They'll use airbrush and hand brush. If I'm
referring to is like hand painting from start to finish, not like no airbrushing needed or used.
There is a number of GTA members, and I'm sure basically just Gunpla builders out there who haven't gotten their airbrush yet that will do that, but probably they'd prefer to airbrush. There are very few dedicated hand brushers. Like Simon has to do it because of he's not allowed to fume up the place for his family and whatnot. So there are very good reasons. Though he has an airbrush, he's just basically he hasn't been able to use it.
Well, I mean, it is common for a builder to airbrush and then go in with a brush for the details, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Actually, Matt, before we go too far off, you know how you said you have work in progress builds that you've shelved? I'm curious, how old is your oldest one? Considering you have 30 of them.
Yeah, 2014 from the recent batch, and there is still one.
Recent batch?
Yes, well, from my teenage years, there is one I didn't finish. It's actually an Orgus kit. Well, actually, that's not true. I kind of finished it, but I did an awful job with a bunch of those little square tester paints, and it's a very nice kit that I kind of ruined. So I kept thinking about redoing it, but I don't know if it's actually worth doing that or trying to find the same kit over again. And I'd probably be able to find the kit for about $100 or something like that somewhere at some point. But I've got so many others that I want to do and finish first. But the first kit that I started doing was a Revell Star Fury from Babylon 5. And that's actually one that I got back in, I might have been, I think it came out in 98, so I've always loved Babylon 5. So I bought it ages ago and never started. Obviously, when I got back into it in 2014, I started it, and it was such a pig of a kit. It was just so bad. Like, I ended up, in order to fix one of the wings, I used up half a tube of putty, and I was just like, bleep this. And maybe one day when I'm more skilled, I'll get back to it. But I just keep looking at it and thinking, okay, I just don't want to deal with this. It's just so bad. So
I think I just realized another point in your life. You'll realize that you're in too deep. There is a guy who works at one of our local hobby shops. Very nice gentleman. I will not name them, but if they see this, they'll know who they are. This individual puts kits in a freaking storage locker. A storage locker. Okay? Yep. Once you're at that point, you are fucked. You might as well open a store.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens to a lot of people.
That's the sad part, okay?
Yeah.
And then if you see people's backlogs, like a backlog is literally the standard size of a backlog we've all seen. That's when you know you're in too deep, is literally a whole closet.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I had a backlog to one of our freaking Matt over there has 2 closets full. But I remember I said to one of our local hobby shop owners, I have like a backlog of 5 kits. This man literally yelled at me and said, "You don't have a backlog, you have a weak log." like what do I say to that?
Awesome.
Lewis, let's throw you under the bus. When did you get too deep?
When I get too deep? No, I have to say, like, the purest point when I got in too deep wasn't. It was when I decided to buy the best airbrush I could possibly afford at the time. And it was like, there's all these like crappy Amazon ones that you can get for like 50 to $100. But after doing all the research, like, you don't even get to try this stuff out before we even like use it back then. Like when I bought an airbrush, this was like 6-8 years ago, and I splurged on like a $380 Iwata, and that was like me going in too deep. It had to be me justifying to myself, why buy this one? You don't even know if you're gonna like it at this point. But once I got the airbrush, I did my best to earn it. Otherwise, that's pretty much when I got into deep. I mean, for tool wise,
or when you buy multiples at the same kit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't buy. That's the thing. I do not buy multiple same kits. I do not, because I
know someone who did that quite recently. Our AV guy did that, for example, multiple times. I've done that.
Mm-hmm.
There is an individual in GTA who has done that. Let me explain. This man bought 6 Death Troopers.
Oh yes.
Why?
Forced me to buy 2 instead of just 1.
And proceeded to make a whole squad to display with SH Figure Arts figures.
Yeah.
I mean, did he ever get burnt out?
Oh, I did that.
Yes.
Oh.
Well, no. Like the various versions of the Impulse Gundam.
Oh,
yes,
a friend of ours did that. They bought 6 impulses to make all the regular impulse variants, the MSV variants, okay? Like the Gaia impulse, the Chaos impulse.
To be fair, I'm gonna out myself here. I've bought each variant of the wing kit so far for a diorama piece, and I gotta buy each master grade yet again just to have for their transformation modes for a build.
One of
And
us.
see, that's a project.
No, that is a project. Yes, that's a project. Now, this is where it's going to get even further into deep. I'm going to be mixing a little bit of plot plating in on each one of those builds and custom paint schemes. So, and maybe some LEDs.
That's great. No. See, you have a vision, and you're making a pretty fantastic like display piece. Like this is going to be a wall display piece. Like I'm super impressed with that. It's when you go like what I sometimes do is like, oh, I'd love to do work on this. I have a neat idea, or maybe I'll come up with something, and you buy oodles of kits. There are like. I actually made it when thinking about this show. I made a list of sort of warning signs, And for me, a lot of that was how you purchase things or why you purchase. So, for example, it's like, oh, it's on sale. Maybe I'll want it right now. So I'll save money by buying it now. So yeah, that's a good justification. I'll buy it. Or it's don't know if this is going to be reproduced in the future, or like if Bandai will reprint it, and I'll probably want to build it, and I'll be just so pissed off if it's not reprinted and I have to buy it with scalper prices. So I might as well buy it now, and on and on and on. And there's I think I wrote like 6 or 7 of these kind of things. But yeah, so at least you're buying things with a clear purpose. So that's makes sense.
That also helps if I limit my shopping cart to a minimum or maximum of $125 to $150, and then allow my wife to take a quick gander at it.
Yep. No, that's it's always good to have
to run it by the spouse.
Yes.
if you're
to have allies in the fight, because it's the fight against.
Well, the thing is the way I see it, like if you're in a relationship and you have this hobby,
yep, let
your spouse in on it. Let them know what's going on, so that way when you have a delivery, they're not seeing this huge package show up and they look at you going, "What in the and how much did you spend?" Yeah.
Well, because that's always a joke among the older guys, the IPMS guys with too many tanks and planes. The stores providing receipts, because $5 to get a custom receipt with the different prices and all that. Yeah. So,
unfortunately, I do my shopping online. That's not the case.
Yeah.
Well, I guess another way to say it too deep is not just a hobby, but the whole subject in and of itself. When you're able to break down the history of every single model kit or the anime, like why this thing exists, why this exists, why is this way.
Yeah, some of you guys are like really into where you get like, oh, the technology behind it, what GN drives really, how they work. And I'm like, what? Like,
yeah.
So it's all this faux science. It's so hard to learn.
But that's but that's being into the show and into the lore, and it's like for me the into deep part is is the oh my god I've run out of closet space, and oh my god how much did I spend, and that sort of thing. So it's
or when you run out of shelf space and you have to start getting kits to donate, which I've been doing consistently. Like there is a stack of boxes in the corner of my room that's like about waist high right now and getting higher. I believe our buddy Tom, whose chair we see currently, he has requested I send him a bunch for his birthday, which I will oblige him. And the rest will be going to GTA. So to our admins, myself included, have fun sorting through that. Everything will be bagged though for your convenience.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Do you want me to label the bags? Anyways, back on topic. In too deep. What's another way we've been in too deep?
Oh, I got one.
In too deep in and of itself.
Yeah, Jason. What
up? So I'm currently building something that I want to submit to a competition, and I had grand desire to say, okay, I'm gonna put LEDs in this portion, LEDs in that portion. I went and bought $180 in LEDs. Then one simple question I asked was, hey, when in this competition, does LEDs even count? And everyone's like, no. I was like, okay, well, scrap the LEDs. Now I got $180 of LEDs just sitting there.
I'll take some of those off your hands.
It's all like the way I've planned it out. I can use it in other kits, but it's just the fact that I have them. Like I could use them in other kits, but they weren't bought specifically for other kits, right? And that was kind of what I was getting at. Where, well, now I got them. I'm gonna put them in something.
Yeah.
Right. Because now I got to go and buy kits to put them in. Right.
And this is part of that whole, I'm looking at my hobby in terms of my lifespan now, and that lovely SABLE acronym, stash acquired beyond life expectancy. And especially at the rate I'm going, I'm sure as hell not going to finish all my kits. But
in real life, we had a conversation about this, if I remember correctly. I suggested we all go to Matt's place after the pandemic and put our names and stuff we want. We know he won't build.
that he'll will to us.
Like, I'm not going to die that soon.
Just label what we want and just leave. Or like we'll have a lottery. I don't know. We'll do a raffle.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
I want in on this. It's horrible, but I do want it to be a part of this.
Fair play. I am happy to be remembered through kits.
All
I
right,
told-
chat.
make a
Everyone
pop look
submit
out
your
of it.
names for the raffle for Matt's funeral.
For Matt's death.
Yeah. Oh man. But
Jeez.
yeah, it's there are one of the things that I also noticed myself doing is I'll say, okay, I can't buy kits because I've got too many, and I try to sort of find rules as to how to limit what I'm buying, and that doesn't always work very well. But what I end up doing is like, well, I can't buy kits, but tools and paints are necessary for the hobby, so I can buy that. That's not a problem. And that's why I end up with boxes and boxes of tools that I use once, and they're very useful for that one thing, and maybe I'll use them again. And then some tools I forget that I have, and I struggle with whatever scratch building thing, and then I finish it, and I'm like cursing the 3 hours I spent, and then a few days later I open up a box, it's like, oh my god, this would have done it in 5 minutes, and
When
So
Matt,
I've
when
learned
you know you're
such-
in too deep when you buy one thing to use once.
yes.
Also, Matt, me and you, we can relate to this just because of, I guess, recent experience.
Mm.
But when we were at our local hobby shop, we kind of played off each other in the sense
Yes.
of, hey, remember that Star Wars kit?
Yes.
At one point, I wanted this little Star Wars kit, and everybody thought I just wanted the one kit. They showed me where it was. I took 5 of the kits, and Matt first question, "What are you doing with all that?" And I showed him, and he's like, "That's a good idea." He went and got two
No,
kits,
just the
or one
one.
kit,
Just the one.
one kit, and then he showed me a part set with the articulating joints and the rocket pods and whatnot. He showed me that, and we started again talking about that, and all of a sudden he bought that set. I bought it too, so we play off each other, not in a good way.
Yep. We it's called oh god, I can't speak English
Divide and
anymore.
conquer?
Apparently. Enabling. There you go.
Enabling, yes.
Yes.
Enabling. Yes. Beautiful words.
With the simple, wouldn't it look cool if we can use this to do this? Yeah, that would look cool. I'm taking it, kind of thing.
Oh my god.
And I got
Yeah.
because this is worth sharing as an idea. It's absolutely bleeping brilliant. Here we go. So the main kit we're talking about here is the Star Wars, the little mini TIE fighter set. What Jason did was grab the, I guess they're solar panels or whatever off the TIE fighters, cut them out.
Solar panel wings.
The panel wings, basically the large sections of that,
The black areas,
greedily
yeah.
black stuff, and he's used them as grills. He's cut out armor and glued the solar panel stuff underneath, and it looks like a grill. It's brilliant. So there you go. And just
I'll post pictures,
Yeah.
later.
And the thing is, like, for me, because I love Star Wars too, and I got tons and tons of these and the other, larger Star Wars kits, I never considered the idea of cutting these up for parts because, I love them so and I want to build them all.
But when you think about it, they're like cheap $10 kits. You could use them
Yeah.
for anything.
Exactly.
And I don't feel bad about having spare parts after using it.
Absolutely.
Like,
Oh, another way to say you're in too deep. You have enough spare parts to make a whole new kit.
Yeah. Oh, well, we're way.
it's called kit bashing,
Yeah, I'm
okay?
getting there. I'm
It's all
getting
for
to
kit
that
bashing.
point.
And it's an art.
Yes.
And you don't call it spare parts, you call it kit bashing parts at that point.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I remember at one point when I realized I was in it on the deep end, I had a box. I think I still have that box. More spread out though. Dedicated to like weapon parts.
Oh yeah,
Just
I remember
weapon
that box.
parts. And you would go in there, you see builder parts, Kotobukiya weapon parts, which are fantastic by the way.
Yep.
Like I have bought the Kotobukiya handguns so many times already.
Okay.
And the katana
What
set.
about if you
because-
have if you're starting to build up a collection of just straight up effect parts?
Oh yeah.
Because I'm now at that point where I've got a container, relatively small. Well, actually, I'll pull it out here.
This is container 1
shit.
of 6.
Yo,
Tom,
let's
take a
let's
look
just
at your screen.
look at those two.
Yeah.
pictures.
This is container one
I
of
got one of
6.
those.
And I
That's
got
cool.
4 of them are when I did Sazabi, I got the funnel effect parts. Right, but because it's for the Sazabi and the Nightingale. So I have tons of those parts. Then there's like Ultraman
Now-
effect parts. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
What about a backlog of water slides?
Oh yeah. That's always
my
good
God.
to have.
You want me? I have a binder of water slides, guys. I have more
Hmm.
water slides than I'll ever need.
That's actually one thing I haven't been buying a lot of. I've got a few general purpose ones, but I do. At least it seems that like when I'm actually going after a particular build and painting it and I'm going to need water slides, I buy them then. So as I start that project.
See,
And
that's the thing about water slides, though. Like, you don't know when they're gonna reprints. Like, I'm always waiting for reprints on water slides. And when you buy it at like when you buy it when it comes out, it's really cheap. But as time goes on, it seems like it goes up in price based off of rarity or something like that.
Since
So-
we're on the topic of water slides, where can I get a clear sheet of water slide? Like, because I want to print off my own and make custom ones.
so
we
the
can discuss that after the podcast.
Okay.
yeah,
Let's
but
get
go,
back
go
on
quickly.
topic.
You need depends on what kind. As long as you don't need any white in it, because you need a very specific printer, and it's almost impossible to get one, and they're super expensive. But
Well,
the blank stuff is usually most hobby stores will stock it, like the old school hobby stores. So you just look for decal paper. Or
Okay.
certain decal paper. Yeah.
So
Like-
you can get cheaper decal paper now that allows you to print on inkjet and other printers, but it's 2 different types of paper, and it requires once it's printed, you actually put a clear coat on it. Like, there's ways to do it, in other words, right? But we'll talk about it later.
Okay.
If
Okay,
anything, it might come up to be a segment later.
Let's see. I guess the only way we can this segment, now I think about it, we've just been throwing each other under the bus.
I like it.
Oh, no,
I
we're-
like
Which
it.
is why I'm glad, like, again, I'm not that far into the hobby where I'm getting thrown into the bus yet.
You will be. You will
But
be.
think of it as a Modelers Anonymous thing, you know. Hi, I'm Matt. And
Hi,
I'm
my
Matt,
name is
you know?
Tom. I've been building for X amount of time. This is my
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
I remember. I feel like Matt had another great example of In Too Deep. Remember that giant model kit?
Yes.
Can you please explain to the class what I'm talking about?
Yeah. So I actually have several giant kits, but the one that we're talking about here is the 120 or basically 1/20th scale Macross Gerwalk from Max Factory. It's the size of a toddler basically.
A small dog.
And myself and Ivan, who's another GTA past admin, bought one each. We are still working on them at some point, and we are going to finish them. We're doing the married couple, the blue and the red plane. So it's going to be sort of it's I guess a group-ish build. But yeah, it was stupidly expensive, mostly because of the shipping. Because the box, I'm actually using the box currently as a coffee table or a side
What?
table
Yes.
to
Yeah.
store stuff
the
on
thing.
top. But
This man would bring the model kit on not the whole. He would never bring out the whole kit because the size of the model kit was about the size of like.
Yeah.
So every time he came to work on it at our local hobby shop before the pandemic, he would bring just a few runners and
Yep.
just work on those runners. He had to bring it in by pieces to be able to work on it mobily.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell?
well, the runners themselves were well. I don't think I can move my hands far enough apart. But it is large, but you want to have that one big display piece. You know, it's I know Lewis wants very large Metal Gear Solid or basically Metal
Rex?
Gears that are you know,
Yeah.
these things are massive. They're actually even bigger than the Gerwalk that I'm building.
I'm scared to move my camera. I don't want to explode the streams.
I gotta see this. You piqued my interest.
All right, I piqued your interest. Like my Metal Gear Rex up there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, didn't you have that on display at one point?
That's gorgeous.
No. So that's not a kit. That's actually a figure, and it's larger than you think. The Rex you're thinking of was actually done by Simon Lamb. That was at Panda.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Yeah. So that
Let's
one's like
say
a
a
1 to
Rex in front of a
100.
Rex.
This is like a 1 to 40. I think 1 to 48. I don't know, but it's pretty big. And yeah, I'm a big Metal Gear fan. Anyone that loves to talk Metal Gear at me, feel free.
So I guess I could say for now, like, we all got in too deep when we realized we were doing something really stupid for just one thing.
Mm. But it's not a horrible thing to be in too deep. It's not like we're actually
Financially, yes, but
Yeah.
I'll never
It's
financially
not
recover
wrong,
from all this.
Simon.
Yeah. The thing is that a lot of the stuff that we have, like if you know the worst happens, or if you decide that you're no longer interested in a hobby, you can divest yourself of this stuff and get, you know, a chunk of it back. It'll take you time or whatever. Some people
Yeah.
start stores, which is not wise at all, and that's not the way to do it, unfortunately, you know. But you know, I can, especially with comic book stores, there was a number of comic book stores that went up and died fairly quickly, and those were basically guys starting off with their backlog or their entire collection. And oh, that's right, that's a big thing for me. When I realized, like, that was one of those real into deep realizations, when I had to make a point that no, I'm not a hoarder, I am a collector. So
you gotta justify
talk
your
about
existence.
collection of things.
You gotta justify.
Distinction.
Yeah.
I love the way you said that, Matt. Do it one more time.
No.
No, the shame will come out. If he
From a
does.
hoarder to a collector.
No, the shame will
I'm a
surface when he does.
Yes. But and it's, you know, in some ways there are some kits that I actually bought and these are usually older from the 80s and whatnot, because they're usually not the best kits to build, but because they're still reasonably sized and don't take up too much shelf space, I wanted the art on the box. I wanted to be able to touch that history, as it were. You know, it's just some of the earliest kits. So there is a bit of a collection, actual real collection of kits that I can say, yes, that is actually a collection, and not just me pretending not to be a hoarder. Yeah, it's not good. So I think the one big lesson we can impart on people is to the easy. I think there's many lessons hopefully people would take out of
We're
this.
the worst people to give advice to this. Let's be honest.
Yeah. No, but just
Learn from our
along the lines
mistakes.
of
Keep doing
don't do what I did. So if you
Learn from us.
Yes, learn from us. If you love something, maybe focus just on that. You know, I love Star Wars kits. I love 5-star story kits. I love Gundam kits. I love, well, there's a whole bunch of other, you know.
This is where it's going to get scary, because I plan on branching out from just Gunpla.
Yeah, and this is the thing, that if you branch out, but be sort of try to be specific with stuff. I love Machine and Krieger. So, you know, having most of and anyway, it's the way some people collect one particular series. I seem to have collected multiple series, and you know, and obviously I've been at this for generally for longer than most. Anyway, it's oh, and as far as for me, I think one of the reasons I've been able to do this is because I'm a bachelor. If I was married or you know that this or had to share my place, I live alone in a 2-bedroom condo. It's quite spacious. Thank you very much. So I'm able to do this. If I wasn't in this situation, I don't think this would ever fly. So
You might
Let's
get
put it
lucky.
this way, guys. Another way of saying this is do what you love, but don't let it consume you.
yes.
Yep.
Just don't. I mean, like,
Uh,
we've all seen TLC hoarders.
yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
everything in moderation.
Well, you know what?
moderation.
As the meme that I've seen surface around has said. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, guys, let's put it this way. We were trying to talk about In Too Deep, but it also became of like Builders
Like,
Anonymous,
gross.
aka also throwing each other on the freaking bus about the dumb stuff we've done, just to
I regret
satisfy our itches in
Yes.
the hobby.
Yeah. Like staring at a kit long enough to be like, you know what, fuck it, I'm painting you. I mean, yeah.
Mhm.
Sorry. That was a slip out. That's yeah.
But I do, now that I think about it, Lewis, you said what kit made you realize you were in too deep. I remember when the high res Astray first came out.
Oh,
I bought that without blinking.
$200, bam, or something like that.
No,
Yes.
Shut up and take my money.
And me and the hobby shop owner, the moment I bought it, we're like, okay, let's explore a box. We ripped the box up and we started playing.
Let's see what's inside.
Let's look at this
Nice.
day.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, that is a genuinely awesome first like big purchase. How about everybody else here? Yeah, here, Jason. What about you? What was your first big purchase? I was like, man, like that's in too deep kit wise.
So someone sold me their backlog that consisted of one,
What's
Like, they sold me their
Well,
backlog.
2
So,
PG unicorns, 1 PG unicorn expansion, and 2 LEDs.
And you bought all that.
It was
that,
for a good
$1,200?
price.
how much? No,
No, it was $900.
Oh my god.
damn, son.
Oh my
I
God.
don't have room,
Did you
but
build
I
them?
almost-
Yeah, I did that. But to justify,
Justify.
one of the PGs was the green version.
Oh,
The final
my
battle
God.
version.
Battle version. Okay.
Yeah.
Still, I mean, I like
You could
the
sell it
unicorn.
off if you don't want to build it. So, it's still.
I
So-
do though. That's the problem. I look at it and I'm just like, I'll build you one day.
You see this man just like stares at a corner where it's sitting. He's like this.
Hey, like the bad thing is the guy was genuine. Like he's just like, listen, I got a kid on the way. Like he put them up on the store. And he's like, listen, I got a kid on the way. I'm looking to get rid of these, and I don't want to go under this much. And I'm just like, you know what? Yeah, okay. I'm not gonna deal you down. You want to pay that much, or you want to get that much for it? I'll give it to you. And
Man,
it was like, here, you want to check the box, make sure anything's damaged. I'm just like, is anything damaged? So he was real nice about it. But what got me too is when he opened his trunk, right? I saw the 2 PGs, but I saw a third one. I'm like, what was the third one? He removes the cover and it's a PG Phoenix.
Oh.
And he's like, that one by itself, I'll sell it to you for $750. I'm just like, no.
I'm already buying this much. I'm not buying more.
like my brain already went to, okay, I can move some funds around there and I can get the cash by today. and then it just went blank and I was like, no, you can't do that. No, don't come at me all honest. Like, no, yell at me, tell me I'm trash.
that's awesome.
And the funny thing is, the next week I followed up with him like, hey, you still selling that? He's like, nah, man, I just sold it like yesterday.
It's always good.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
actually, that's one of my little rules. If I see something that I really want but really shouldn't have, I sort of wait and I let fate decide. If by a week from now it's still in stock, I'll get it. But usually they sell out, so I'm safe.
I don't know if you can hear our AV guy, but he's showing off some of the core Gundam weapons. I believe it's the Saturn X, which is the orange one. I like.
Was it the drill?
Oh, he bought the
Oh,
Valky
some of
Lander.
the Sengoku stuff. Oh no, never mind.
He bought the Valky Lander, the red one.
Okay, yeah.
Here's a thing that people who start out, they don't realize they're getting into deep, but they get into that buying frenzy. You see
We
somebody.
have one right here.
Yeah.
We all know his name.
Somebody went through it, but I definitely went through it back in 2014.
Sir, put your hand up. You know who I'm talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
What are you
But
talking about?
You see it, a guy goes in, buys one kit, and a week later he's back and he's carrying, a load to the cash register. So, that's I did that in some spectacular ways in
Hang on.
2014. Yeah.
Yeah, I
that's
really
the
like watching that
essentially
Find
Matt
Frenzy.
just described. Fun fact. That's literally what happened to this man.
But it's
I witnessed it.
I see Tom.
The one day I decided to make an order from the hangar and do one of these.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah. That's click there. I'm gonna put that as
Yeah.
a week.
Thumbnail.
That's the picture right there.
That's a thumbnail, boys.
That's the thumbnails. We got our thumbnail, guys. Wrap it up.
Yeah. And it's that should be one of the rules you have, that your order should not have more items than you have fingers. That excludes the thumbs. So.
Guys, seriously though, at the end of the day, the moral of the story is,
Okay, there.
I guess
have
the
my
moral is
headphones back on
anime.
now.
Yeah. Do what you love and
Do what you love, but don't get
Just
financial.
moderation.
by it.
Always think of
Like-
moderation, even though you might ignore it.
Hey, you know what, Jason? I did that moderately in one go.
Yeah, your
Jason-
moderation may not be my moderation.
Jason, you and Tom have very definitions of moderation, okay?
Yeah.
Hey, let's just drop $900 on two PG unicorns and I can buy
Yeah.
the third one for $750.
Yeah.
One was a rare one, and I hadn't
Yep.
bought a kit for at least 2 weeks.
You did 2 weeks?
I meant 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Okay.
And
that's
in fact,
another one you
did the
see people
math.
doing their monthly hauls, that they want to have. They sort of, they'll post pictures of it or whatever, but their way of thinking of it is, I'm buying this stuff this month, and the next month's order is this, and then on and on and on, and then I bought this and this, and so here is my monthly haul. And that also gets dangerous because it puts you in a mindset that, I've got nothing this month, and like, I should buy something now, and you usually end up buying stuff that you don't really want. So
And then you're sad and then you buy even more.
yeah.
Well, see, that's where I look at it is like, okay, after my completed project, which one should I paint out of? Like, say if I buy like 10 kits and I build all 10 kits within that month, I'll look at my builds and be like, okay, I don't want to order anything that like this following month. Which should I paint just to fill my time between builds, kind of thing?
Makes sense.
And then at that point, it's
that-
not only saving me a little bit of money, but at that time as well, that's where my creative flow comes out into play, and I can say for a high grade kit where it used to take me 2 weeks to do a full paint, it now takes me about a month to do a full paint on it, because I'm putting a little more work into it than I used to.
Yeah, so like before the pandemic, my mindset was build a kit. If I like the kit, right, show it off. If I don't like the kit, I tend to like give it away. And then it became, then it became to the point where I built kits I really liked, couldn't get room to store them, so then I ended up selling them. And then the pandemic came and kind of put, a hold on that, but I'm pretty sure when it comes back, I'll probably be building as fast as I was before. Just because of the joy of building, right? But yeah,
I'd have a hard time getting rid of my build kits, because like, I built it as my baby, and I finish things so rarely. Yeah.
No, I get that.
It's funny because I'm like that when I first build it. I'm like that when I first build it. But the minute someone's like, "I like your kit," oh, he likes my kit. He must have it. In my mind, that's what I'm thinking. In his mind, he's just like.
You just
in his
went like a
mind, he's probably
hardcore
like, "Eh, it looks
golem
good."
for a split second there.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with precious.
Oh, is that? Yeah. Like I remember
Anyways,
after that
guys.
exchange was done. Oh no, go on.
No, Jason, finish that and we'll wrap up.
Well, no, I was just gonna
Fine.
say I remember after that exchange where someone actually ended up buying my kit. Adrian came up to me and was like, "Hey, you could have gotten more, right?" I'm like, he's just like, "Yeah, you kind of sold it for a quarter of what you should have." Pretty much, I broke even because the kit that I had sold, I pretty much charged the cost of the kit, not the time, not the labor, not the material, right? The paint and stuff. And he's just like, don't do that. Trying to get more, like he was so like he was trying to like let me down easy without letting me down, but he was too blunt about it.
No, it was still, no matter how you put that, it's still too steep of a drop. You're gonna land flat in your fucking face, no matter if how nicely
and on
someone
top of that-
tells you that.
And on top of that too, I had just met Adrian, right? Because my first thing was like, he had won a competition with a Zakun. That's how I heard of him, right? And then I met him in person. I was like, oh yeah, no, I saw this, and so we kind of hit it off there. Then he sees that happening, and he's probably thinking to himself, look at this guy. He kind of shut down. He just wants to get rid of this thing.
Look at this
And then
fucking
he comes to me, he's like,
scrub.
yeah, exactly. And then he's like, yeah, you shouldn't have done that. Like, he's trying to like carefully like find his words to tell me you screwed up, man.
All right. Anyways,
And then-
guys, it's
and then-
past 1. So
Yes.
we'll be transitioning to a live build day where we talk about what we couldn't talk about.
And build stuff and have fun.
And yes.
We'll
So
be
the
posting
moral
the
of this
link right
anime
now
is,
on
before we
PTO.
sign off,
Yeah.
do what you love, but do it in moderation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't be
Again,
like us.
moderation, to put it across the board,
Lightly.
financially moderate, okay?
Yeah.
Don't be making
Unless
no
it's your birthday.
spreadsheets. Don't be buying
You're not
what?
my real-
Don't be
don't
buying
tell me what to do.
$900 of kits and saying that's okay. Don't be buying enough like kits to like fill up the freaking screen. Everything you just saw happen here, okay?
There's nothing wrong with spreadsheets unless they're like an emergency escape hatch kind of thing. So there you go. But
Ooh,
yeah.
spreadsheets.
Anyways, guys, I'm Simon. You got Luke.